So as golfers, we're always striving to improve, lowering our scores, reducing our handicaps, aren't we? Even if it's maybe not competitive, we're just wanting to get that little bit of that edge, improve yourself from your previous round. And this little bit of equipment I've got today, I think is something that every golfer will benefit and can help you in so many different ways of improving your golf swing. Okay, so that piece of equipment that I'm talking about and referring to is actually a golf training aid, and it's called the Wedge Pro. It's simply a wedge that is made of foam. This is going to help with so many different aspects in your golf swing. I'm going to run through 10 different ways you can use this training aid to improve your ball striking, your accuracy, your body movement, your rotation. The list literally goes on. Okay, so make sure you stay tuned to the end of this video. Watch all the tips, stay tuned, because we're going to give one of these training aids away, Wedge Pro. We're going to give one away to a lucky winner, so stay tuned of how you can enter that giveaway. Okay, so the first one we're going to talk about is angle of attack, and more so with the irons to start off with. We always want to get that ball turf strike, but how do we do it? It's all about controlling your low point in the golf swing. So what you can use the Wedge Pro for here is placing it behind the golf ball like so, and you can make this as hard or as easy as you want. Maybe start off with easy. So it's something you struggle with hitting maybe fat shots, this is definitely going to be worth working on. So place that behind, and obviously if we come down and we keep that weight back, we hit the wedge, obviously it's not going to be a good shot, is it? So we're going to try and move and shift that weight, which essentially is moving our low point past the golf ball, and the wedge being very visual, especially in that orange colour, will help you to shift it and try and move. There's a real crisp ball turf strike. Okay, so number 2 of how you can use a Wedge Pro. Very similar angle attack, but this time with the driver. So we know to maximise distance and help probably get that higher launch, lower spin, which obviously is a creative distance, is to hit a little bit more up on the golf ball. So many golfers will hit down on it and they'll struggle to control the spin and also lose a lot of distance. So flip up the Wedge Pro on the other side now, target side, obviously with the upslope going towards the target. So clearly now it encourages to hit a little bit more up. If we were to hit down, again, we'll probably make contact with that foam. And the beauty with this aid is it is foam, it's soft, so you're not going to damage your club if you do hit it. It's not something that's probably going to fly all the way down the driving range. As I say, place it on the target side now, and ideally we're going to try and hit a little bit more up through that golf ball. Very simple, again, very, very visual. Oh, and that's an absolute bomber. So, angle of attack, trying to hit up with the driver, great drill for you to work on. Okay, so usage number 3 for the Wedge Pro is swing direction, or club path, and sometimes it's referred to. Something we work on a lot with many golfers, you know, especially those out to in swing paths. So we'll talk about trying to create more of an inside path, maybe to reduce your fade slice, try and turn it into a little bit more of a neutral shot, or potentially a little bit of a draw. Not only can we lay it flat, we can actually lay it on its side and position it just on the outside of the golf ball, just behind it, up on its end like so. So you've just got enough room to take the club back from the golf ball, and obviously if you come over the top, you're potentially going to hit or make contact. Again, it's so visual. This works really well. So let's hit a shot. So I'm going to really feel like I need to stay more from that inside to make sure I miss the Wedge Pro. Oh, and there's a little baby draw. Great feel, great feedback, and that is the key with any good training aid, is getting instant feedback, whether it's the right movement or the wrong movement, and that is absolutely perfect. Okay, and that leads us on to tip number 4, and obviously just the opposite of that now. If you suffer from too much from the inside, maybe the hooks, and you're trying to get your path a little bit more neutral and potentially try and get that feel of being more out to in to neutralize it, simply we're just putting the Wedge Pro on the inside now, so you can see position it there. Now this would have to be a little bit further back, because obviously you've got your shaft angle and the shaft will just need to miss the Wedge Pro here, but again, it's just a visual there. If you get tuck on this inside, you're going to hit that Wedge Pro. Okay, so let's give this one a go. This will try and promote a little bit more of an out to in, potentially a little bit of a fade. Oh yeah, there's about a 6-yard fade. Again, I've got my instant feedback. I've missed it, I've hit my shot. They're great feels. Okay, so make sure you stay tuned to the end of this video. Watch all the tips, stay tuned, because we're going to give one of these training aids away. Okay, so moving on. Tip number 5 that you can use the Wedge Pro for, and this is shaft lean. a crucial one for getting that really good ball striking. So if you're the type of golfer who maybe sort of loses your angles through your wrist early on the downswing and typically gets that horrible sort of scoopy and that shaft is actually leaning backwards away from the target, then you're not going to hit some penetrating ball flights. You're not going to get that ball first and you're going to lose a lot of distance and inconsistent ball striking. So this one here now is more of a feel. We're not going to hit balls doing this, but a bit more of a feel of where typically we want to see that shaft at impact. So we stand it up on its end here now with the wedge and the slope sort of working slightly towards a target. And obviously what we're going to try and do here, we can put a ball in place but also do it without a ball. As I say, we're obviously not going to hit it because this eight's going to go way down the range. But you imagine as you come down, it's a slow motion. This is a feeling one. This is you get into that impact position. We can get that shaft mirroring that angle of the Wedge Pro at point of contact, and that gives us that shaft lean, helps us to get our body in the right positions as well, but more important, the feel of what impact is like. And that's a big thing I think a lot of golfers maybe just struggle to find, is what does it feel like at impact? What does that moment of truth actually feel like? So this is a great way, slow, back down, marry that shaft up to the angle of the Wedge Pro. There's your little bit of shaft lean, there's your ball before the ground strikes. Okay, so tip number 6, to use the Wedge Pro. So we've done a lot around the golf ball ideas. Now, what do we do with our body? How do we move through the golf swing? And again, a lot of people maybe would do a little bit too much lateral movement, maybe a bit too much going on, which again all affects around that ball striking, doesn't it? So this tip here is to stop maybe that lateral sway off the golf ball, so more through your backswing. If you're the type of golfer who maybe moves off the ball too much, maybe never gets back, again, that's all going to affect that low point, isn't it? So if we can reduce that movement and that weight shift onto your trail foot, then we're going to stay a little bit more centralized. We can get that bit more that compression on that strike. So we're going to use it now on the trail foot, and just want to put it in a position where we just sort of have it, the trail foot just sat on the Wedge Pro there. Okay, so obviously now with the slope inwards towards me as a body, it's harder for me to push up against that upslope effectively. So it's going to give me a little bit of feel and keep me more centralized, and hopefully we can get that better strike. Oh, and that was absolutely pure. Okay, so moving on, number 7, and again, this is all to do with sort of sway, a bit too much up lateral movement, and this time on the downswing. So again, if you're the type of golfer who maybe leans into the golf ball, those knees sort of slide, very little hip rotation, which is obviously not a great thing for us because that comes flippy, the flying elbow tends to sort of creep in, again, ball striking goes out the window. So this time we're putting the Wedge Pro on the lead side, foot under it. So like we've done on the backswing, we're just going to do opposite now on the forward swing. So this is going to reduce, again, it's tougher to slide into that upslope of the wedge. So this is going to keep you a little bit more back, a little bit more centraled, a little bit more, hopefully a little bit more rotation, where you can maybe start to post that lead leg, get that left hip clearing out of the way into that follow through. Let's give this one a go. So you've got that little upslope there, can really sort of feel that. Yeah, I can really feel the Wedge Pro just holding me back. It's very difficult for me to slide forward there. It's really pushing me backwards. So great for you if you're a little bit of a slider through impact. Okay, so usage number 8, and this is about gaining height in the backswing, and obviously we don't want to be doing that. What I see a lot of golfers sometimes do is when they take the backswing and the hands are moving upwards, is they extend through that trail leg and they get a lot of lift and sometimes just rock back into the heel. So they stand up, lose the posture, and obviously then they've got to get back down again. So this one's a great one just to maybe help you to hold your posture through the backswing. We see that so many times on the PGA Tour, European Tour, how those golf pros stay in posture so well through backswing and back into that impact position. So we're going to place now the Wedge Pro under the trail foot, under the heel area. So we're going to essentially just lift that heel a little bit, just make sure you get it into position like so. So you can imagine now I can't push back. It's going to keep my trail leg a little bit more flexed, and I can turn and resist against it, and that'll keep me a little bit more hinged over, which is me staying in posture a little bit more. Let's give this one a go. Oh, that's a really good ball strike there. Definitely feel like I could stay a little bit more over the golf ball there. Very difficult for me to stand up and push through that trail leg. Okay, this one is a killer for many golfers, early extension. So what is early extension? It's basically as we start the downswing where the hips tend to thrust up towards the golf ball. Again, we straighten up out of our posture, but all our weight goes forward into both feet and both toes. Okay, so there's no rotation, loss of posture. It's a nightmare for controlling your strikes and your club face control. So this one is a really good one to help. So tip number 9 of how to create that better rotation through the hips, that clearance, and staying in that posture. Again, so important in that golf swing. So we're going to place this now underneath the lead toe. Okay, so obviously the slope is going to push the left side of the body, the lead side, more backwards, and it's reducing it. That, you know, trying to push yourself up the hill of that wedge is much more difficult. So let's give this one a go. So just underneath that lead toe, and you can imagine now we can get the weight transferring into that heel of that lead foot, which is essentially going to help the clearance of the hips, the left hip to go more backwards as you then turn through into that finished position. Oh, that's really good. Could definitely just feel, even for me there, I could feel a little bit more hip turn through there, but again, it's getting those right feels. Okay, so finally, tip number 10, usage number 10 for the Wedge Pro, and this is a little cracker. This is pitching now, and this is where I think an area that a lot of golfers will really struggle, distance control, and typically find that a lot of golfers will just do a bit more of a hands and arms sort of movement just to flick that ball out that 30, 40 yards. So we're talking like little short pitches here. This is a great way of getting a connection of the hands to the body and keep the body sort of turning, which is essentially what we want to try and do to, number 1, get the strike consistent and also that distance control. So we're going to use the Wedge Pro, we're going to slot it under your trail arm. Okay, you might see something similar to this like with a towel, but I think this works well because the fat part of the Wedge Pro is just going to connect your elbow. It gives you a feel like a connection from that trail elbow to that trail right hips. Okay, so I'm just going to get it into position there. I've just got a little pitch wedge. Obviously you can use your gap wedge, your sand wedge, whatever you want to pitch. It's little short distances, and it's just a great way of feeling that connection and how you can get that. It's a super strike. It's so good on that strike, and that's the key there, is connection. If you're going to build some distance control on these short shots, pitching, and obviously the distances is so key. It's like a sprinkler feel, isn't it? But we've got to get that strike good. We've got to get that strike crisp. Real good feel of a connection there. Oh, that just feels so good. So what I really feel there, my senses of what I'm feeling there is more of a connection, just literally more of a turn and a turn. So my hands are really sort of taken out and my arms are taken out. It's more the body just controlling that pace of that swing and that distance. Okay, so we're going to do the giveaway. So to win yourself one of these, which you can see is so useful for many different aspects in the golf swing, all you need to do in the comment section down below is write Wedge Pro, all one word, Wedge Pro, and you'll be entered in the free prize draw. I'm going to announce the winner on my Instagram page, so make sure you are following me on Instagram at MNGolfCoach, and the winner will be announced on there. Okay, there we go, Wedge Pro. I'm going to put the details down below in the description of where you can pick this up. Fantastic little aid, so simple, so easy, nice colour, very visual, and helps in so many different aspects in the golf swing. I recommend this is something that every golfer should have in their bag and be using on a regular occurrence. Hopefully, we'll catch up with you all very soon.